Hello everybody, this is Gregory with Permanent Weight Loss Made Easy, where there should be no hesitance in your weight loss and in your weight maintenance. Now today we're going to talk about and pose the question, who hurt you? And how this is connected to weight issues. Now before we begin, if you need help with weight loss, contact me through the Clarity FM link found here in the episode notes. Check out my 2 books, which you can find on Amazon. My podcast, which is health related, called The Awakened Man. It's been around for about 7 years. I also have a podcast on movies. If you like movies, you can find them both on Apple and Spotify. And lastly, if you appreciate my content, there is a link for PayPal. So this reminds me of something that you would hear at a psychoanalysis session, a Freudian session. Who hurt you? But I think it's an important question to ask because we all are born, I say most people are born with a normal kind of psychosexual development, a normal development, and this can be thrown off. The thermostat can be thrown off, so to speak. And when it comes to obese people, many times we are wired, you think of like a 1-year-old, once they're starting to eat some solid foods, it's not like they're gorging on 7 jars of Gerber baby food, even when they're able to. They eat and then they're no longer hungry. I use the dog analogy here quite a bit. Same for birds, same for every animal, right? They have this physiological response, this like rat brain part of you that hungry, they go find food, they eat it, and then they walk away. Now, certainly we are a higher level creatures. We have a large cerebrum, and that's typically for good, but sometimes it could be for bad in that we overthink things. But when we're 1 or 18 months old, we have this relationship with food, and then something happens where we turn to food for whatever reason, or later in our life, perhaps it's alcohol, perhaps it's gambling, perhaps it's sex, perhaps it's social media addiction, whatever it is. And lots of times this is born out of pain. What they call adverse childhood experiences, or ACE, childhood trauma. And I think if you're overweight and you're honest with yourself, or you were overweight, you're honest with yourself, some trauma happened to you as a child, or maybe later on when you were a tween, that caused you to go from having an ordered relationship with food to a disordered relationship with food. Turning to food, or maybe it's alcohol or drugs, to check out of reality for the pain that you have right now. You turn to food. Think about when you're 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years old, to give you nurturance, because food doesn't talk back to you. Maybe you had angry parents. Food doesn't talk back to you. Food's always there. Food's not going to judge you. Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe you had neglectful parents, or aloof parents, or parents that just were not nurturing. And again, food's there. Food will nurture you. Food tastes good. It'll make you feel better. And so it's understandable as a child, this is going to be the first and the most accessible of the vices that you can encounter. Yeah, you might be 7 years old, but even if there's alcohol around, like when I was a kid, there was alcohol, it wasn't locked everything. I'm not turning to tequila, because at that age, nobody likes the taste. You turn to food. So on the road to permanent weight loss, and this is a very common theme I have here for now over a year, is if you're not doing the deep work to find the inner cause of the trauma, you're gonna either just be gaining weight indefinitely, which then it contributes to a lot of medical problems we already talked about here. It's gonna contribute to more self-loathing and more shaming, which is gonna contribute to negative eating behaviors, binge eating and so forth. Or you might yo-yo diet, where you're essentially like a graph, and then you'll drop a little, but then you're going to gain back and drop a little, but you're still not down here. You're still essentially gaining weight. Sometimes you might lose all of it and then yo-yo back. We know that happens to 80% of people who lose 50 pounds or more will regain it. Why is that? Right? Why is that? It's because they haven't done the deep work. We're all capable of crash dieting. But to do that day in, day out, of just juicing or whatever your crash diet is, it's not tenable. And this is why I have a video here talking about watch out for the purists, the puritanical purists. You can never drink milk the rest of your life if you want to keep your weight. You can never have flour. There's a major difference between weight loss and weight maintenance in terms of how you approach it. And with weight maintenance, you can't be nearly as strict as you can with weight loss. But either way, why do most people gain it back? It's not that they want to gain it back, but they fall back into previous behavior. And what was that previous behavior? Turning to food to numb the pain, to soothe the pain, or to give you a respite from whatever ongoing trauma you have in your life because of assault, physical abuse, sexual abuse, whatever it is. So if you're never dealing with that childhood trauma of who hurt you, then you're essentially on a boat that's filling up with water and you have like a little kid toy pail. And eventually, yeah, you might have enough strength to get a lot of the water up, but it's still sinking. Eventually you just get tired and you just give up and then you just sink and then you gain weight. So again, you need to look in the mirror and ask the question, who hurt you? And we have a video here talking to your parents, because typically it's parents, talking to your parents about blaming them for your weight gain when you were a child or later on when you gain the weight. Because some people gain it later on because they were sublimating the trauma that they had in their childhood until they were an adult. And then when they were an adult, something triggers it where they turn to the food, they turn to the alcohol and so forth. But either way, how do you deal with the people that cause this? Do you go and do a scorched earth kind of mentality and just destroy them and hate them forever and never forgive them? I would tell you that's not constructive. It's not constructive with your relationship with them, but it's more important not constructive to you. It's a poison that you concoct that only you are drinking. So you need to forgive the people who caused you to be overweight. But number one step is identifying that you have a disordered relationship with food, probably stemming from your childhood. And then number two is identifying what caused that disordered relationship where you no longer can eat like a dog or eat like an 18-month-old. And at that point, doing the deep work to heal that inner child in you. That way you don't keep turning to food repeatedly. Because remember, all you're doing is just like with a lot of addictions. A lot of people, they come back from work every day and they drink alcohol to kind of check out. And they think it's helping them escape from the day in, day out struggles that they have, or they have a tough spouse to live with. But all you're doing is just adding another monkey on your back. So now you still have a tough spouse to live with, but now you're dealing with an alcohol dependence. So instead of going down that road, let's do the deep work. Let's see what childhood trauma we have, and let's fix it, get an ordered relationship with food. Because once you do that, and yes, it takes hard work, your chances of losing the weight and keeping it off are infinitely easier because now you have an ordered relationship with food and you only eat to feed your body, to give it nutrients, and not for any psychological or emotional reasons. Guys, post in the comments. I'd love to hear from you. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Until next time, take care. God bless and pray.